All right, guys, it is Sunday afternoon here in California. It's about 2:20 in the afternoon. I am overly excited to be speaking with James Pelton here. By far one of my favorite people in the crypto space. I've got some to spend some personal time with James in Los Angeles. And man, James is one of the funnest people and most kind, and he's a very honorable person. So, it's taken several weeks to put this interview together because he's such a busy man. But I just want to thank you, James, for your time today. And really, this whole thing is so people can get a better understanding of who you are, how you kind of came up, and what do you do to be so successful in crypto. All right.
Awesome, man. No, I appreciate the invite, and you're one of my mentors. I kind of consider when I first got into the space. I was kind of following you. I remember you had 30,000 followers on Twitter, and I had 60, and I was like, I'm gonna follow that guy and do what he does. So
and
you've been
now
a big
you're
part of my journey.
now you're surpassed me, and you're doing amazing things, and that's incredible, man. Let's do this, James. Let's start out with the easy stuff. Who you are. So, because there's going to be people watching this who are like, who the hell is James Pelton and Robert Doyle? So who are you? Kind of maybe a little bit about your background, and then we'll get into the juicy stuff.
Okay, sounds good, man. And if I monologue too long, just like cue me and I can stop it. There you go. That's right. So yeah, I was born at Lincoln, Nebraska. I've lived here my whole life. I've never gone anywhere. I was really into computer programming as a kid. So like first, second grade, I remember going on camping trips and my parents would be like, "Oh, what book did you bring?" And it was like PHP for Dummies and Perl in a nutshell and things like that. And they said, "Oh no, our kid's a nerd." But loved programming as a kid. And then in high school, I actually met my wife. We got married super young. So she was 18 and I was 20. We got married right out of high school. I got a job doing computer programming. And eventually I started my own business, sending out mass text messages. So I wrote some software that does like text marketing. And I actually wrote it. I was a part-time pastor also. And we were looking for a way just to notify college students, hey, this is where we're going out to eat. So I wrote this software. And then I had Steak and Shake and Ghirardelli Chocolate and all these big companies reach out and say, hey, we want to text our customers. And so then eventually grew that business to, we had 40,000 customers and 12 employees. And just that kind of blew up and I wasn't really expecting it to. But then in 2020, someone came and said, hey, we want to buy that business. And I thought, well, you know, why not? Let's do that. So I sold the business. Then I had a big chunk of money. So then I started getting into investing. So I started with stocks, quickly got bored with that. So then I went to real estate, got a little bored with that. Then I went to venture capital and angel investing. And that was very interesting. But then I stumbled upon crypto. One of my friends told me, hey, Strong actually was my first exposure. And he's like, hey, try this out. It's getting 12% or 26% return a month. And I was like, okay, this is a scam. And I tried it out. And then for 3 or 4 months, I was like, holy cow. I've basically ROI'd and this is crazy. So then I jumped into crypto. And then actually I got onto YouTube because my wife got tired of me talking about Strong all the time and Olympus Dow. And I was talking about crypto left and right, XRP, VeChain. And I was talking about all this stuff I was learning. And she's like, you need another outlet. I don't care about this.
Instead of talking to her, you like, babe, take this information into the other room and go talk to people. I'm busy, right? That's what she said.
Yep, that's exactly right. So that was in December of 2021. So I've been going for about a year now on the YouTube space. So then it's just been a fun journey since then, just talking with project founders and trying to not get wrecked is really, really the name of the game right now.
That's the hardest part. And I want to back up, guys. And so people are listening, right? So James is responsible for all of the random texts that you get from political parties saying you need to donate money. So if anyone gets upset about that, send James some hate mail.
Just it's kidding. Very, very true. Spammers really, like, one of our biggest troubles was fighting spammers. Like that's basically what we spent most of our time doing. So I am responsible. So
who got you into crypto, James? I know you kind of touched on it in a bit, but was it a good friend of yours? Did you stumble upon it yourself? Just tell us really quickly about how the light, you first started researching, and then like the sky opened up and you just knew this was the place for you?
Yeah. Well, so what happened was once people found out that I had some money, I would get hit up probably 10 times a day with investment opportunities, right? So
Yeah.
it's just all these people, hey, I want to start a business. You should put money into this. You should put money into this. And I was kind of getting tired of it. And so it was actually just one of those meetings. I had a friend, not a good friend, but just a friend. Hopefully he's not watching. He's a good friend now. We'll put it that way. But he was like, hey, I want to get together and talk with you about cryptocurrency. And I was a little interested because I had heard about crypto, and I had a little bit of Bitcoin just because I'm a tech guy. And so I was like, I like the technology, but I never really had thought of it as an investment per se. But then he got together and I was expecting just, oh, you should buy Bitcoin and wait, 10 years and it'll be worth a lot. But then he wasn't. He was talking about DeFi. And I was like, oh, I've never heard about this before. And yeah, he started with Strong and Olympus DAO. And he talked with me about VeChain and XRP. Constellation, actually, he talked with me about way back then. And he was talking with me about all this stuff. And I was like, this is just crazy. Like, this technology is going to change the world. So that was really when I started to do my first deep dives into some of these projects. So, and that would have been like June of 2021, probably, was when I first was interested in the space. Yeah.
I got you. So, because I mean, everyone learns differently, right? And even as people who try to educate people, aka, influencers and people like us, we spend god awful. I don't think people realize how many hours we spend daily, weekly, and monthly trying to educate ourselves so we can educate other people, right? We go through a lot of crap before we find gold. What are you doing? Like, are you researching on YouTube? Are you on Twitter? Are you looking at articles? I mean, where's your strongest maybe suit of where you're finding the best information?
Yeah, honestly. So it was trial and error. So the first thing I would do is I would watch other influencers. And then I quickly figured out that no influencers have any idea what's going on either. And so then I started reading white papers, but then I found out the white papers don't really know what's going on either. And so eventually I found my way to like, I want to actually talk with the team and I want to meet them and ask them questions. And I found that was for me, it was the only effective way of researching anything.
Yeah.
And even that's trial and error. I'm a pretty trusting person. And so I'm learning. Yeah, I'm learning. Do not trust people. I'm from, mid Nebraska. Yeah. And everybody here, nobody lies to each other or anything like that. But I'm finding in the crypto space, I'll look somebody dead in the eyes and say, hey, do you have revenue or is this a Ponzi scheme? And they'll tell me, oh, we've got revenue. And they look me in the eyes. And so I'm learning, even that I have to, be careful when I talk with people and not be so trusting. So, I mean, we're just constantly, all the influencers in the space are constantly learning and trying to figure out what is going on. It's a crazy space. So.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, in your past life or kind of coming up to this, right? I mean, you're an incredible, you business owner. You built, multiple businesses. You're there advising multiple companies. What are kind of some of the books or resources that you've kind of read that have been most powerful to you to help you kind of get where you are today?
Yeah, usually what I'm looking for from a book, there's usually like these little thoughts that can completely change the course of your thinking. And so it kind of depends on just what stage you're in. So like when I was young, everyone around me told me you have to go to school, you have to be an employee of someone else's business. Like that's just the way the world works. And I read like Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And he was like, no, actually employees are like on the bottom of the totem pole in society. Like there's solopreneurs and entrepreneurs and investors and there's all these business owners. And I was like, oh, well, why at school are we teaching people to be employees? I'd rather be a business owner. And so that was just a huge mindset shift. And I had to fight a lot of people. Like there was friends and family who said, no, you need to go to school, be an employee. And so that's been a really influential book where I'm just like, you know what? I have no interest in working for someone else. So that was I mean, and that's completely changed the direction of my life. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Bible, because my faith is super important to me. And I believe as investors, not to monologue on for this for too long, but as investors, we focus on long-term, not short-term. But then as investors and with money, we usually stop, 50 years out is like, I'm investing for at the max 50 years in the future. But what I find with the Bible and with spirituality is you are investing for in 10,000 years. Like I want to do things now that influence 10,000 years or 100,000 years. Generations. Yeah. And so the Bible's been really influential to me. It's my moral code too, is that I'm more interested in pleasing God than I am in the people around me. And then the third book I'd have to say it's called Lifestyle Investor. And it's by Justin Donald, and it's a Wall Street bestseller. But I basically thought when you had a lot of money that the only thing you could do is put it in the stock market, and that's what you could do. Yeah. And he kind of showed me, no, there's way you can take control of your own money. You don't have to give it to a financial advisor. You can do it yourself. And there's lots of things you can invest in a way where you're getting cash flow, in a way where no one else is in control of your money. And really crypto embodies both of those principles. So I would say those are my three most influential books.
Absolutely, man. That's fantastic. I'm sure people will be Googling these two books if they haven't read them yet, and learning a few things, because I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it did really kind of change the way I think about things and the way that I kind of go about my life too. So that's a fantastic book to read. I know when we started, we were talking about mentors in the space, and you said some kind words when you first got in. We were in a group and we were all talking and sharing information and stuff like that. Who else in the space has really kind of inspired you, or maybe someone you look up to? Is there anyone else like that you would consider somebody that's really kind of taken you under their wing and helped you out?
Yeah, so Jesse Eckel is a YouTuber. He's a good friend of mine now. And when I first got into the space, I'd watch his YouTube videos, and I'm like, I just love that he is just showing. He's not trying to sell anyone anything. He's just showing his journey of what he's doing. And I thought that's what I want to do, because I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm new in the space, and it's a journey for me. And so when I watched his YouTube videos, they really resonated. I was like, hey, that's what I want to do. I want to share my journey. And if people are interested in my journey, or they want to follow behind, and be, oh, James did this and failed, James did this and failed, then they could learn from my mistakes. Yeah. So I would say he's a big one in the space. And then again, all of the people, me and you are connected, Coffee on the Block, and, all of crypto Twitter. I learned something from everybody on there. I try to, even if I disagree with people, I try to, hey, they have strengths that I don't have, so what can I learn from them, rather than just like, so many people just turn off. They're like, oh, I don't like that guy, and they turn him off or something. And I'm like, you might not like him, but learn what you can from him. So
you know what's hard, James, and you know this more. I mean, and I know this too, because we've been through the trenches, right? We've been through hundreds of DeFi projects, right? People don't understand this one thing, right? DeFi in itself is still an experiment, right? There are new things being built every day that have never been done before. There's different tokenomics, there's play to earn, there's, augmented reality, there's metaverse, there's so many new things, right? Not everything's going to work, right? Not everything, it's all trial and error. And so, when we talk about DeFi as a whole, a lot of that is going to end up failing. And what happens is we get blamed because we end up talking about it, right? A team can look amazing. They can have an amazing smart contracts. They can have amazing this. But if one small thing happens, it's our fault. And that's the tough part about being in this job. And I know you've experienced that, because I definitely have. And I just hope people understand that, we really do all the due diligence we can when we look at these projects, right? I mean, you just got back from Dubai checking up on a project, right? And so, you go out of your way to do as much due diligence as you can. Obviously, we never give financial advice. We're just kind of painting a picture of what we're doing. And so I hope people can understand, at the end of the day, nobody has a crystal ball, right? all we're doing is trying to find the, the stuff that rises to the surface, explain it to you. But people need to understand that nothing lasts forever, right? And I think when we were getting into all these node seasons, we're like, shit, I'll be 50 getting strong nodes, currency, strong would be $20,000 by then, and it just doesn't work like that. And so I said my piece on that. So
can I piggyback on that a little bit too? Because I think this will be helpful for people. But I was talking to a professional trader. So he trades cryptocurrency for a living. Okay. Yeah. And he says professional traders shoot for 60% on their trades. Yeah. So they know if they're making 10 trades, they're going to lose on 4 of them and they're going to win on 6 of them. And they're going to be ahead when when everything washes out. And so that's how I kind of look at projects too. If I'm getting into 10 projects, 4 are going to fail. Hopefully 6 succeed. I'm just trying to, get out ahead on some of these things. Yeah. And I think sometimes people watch videos or like they see you, tweeting about a project and they think, oh, Rob's all in on that project, or James made a video about this project. He's all in. But like I sold my business, have millions of dollars, and you'll see I put 10K into that project. Yeah. So, I mean, if I was sold out on that project, if I was 100% sure it's going to do well, I'd put in $5 million, but these are, like you said, it's an experiment. If I'm going into 10, I know 4 are going to fail. So it's a matter of hedging your losses and just trying to navigate the space as best you can.
Well, and even look at like, people that, investors, right, or hedge funds, things like that, right? When they invest in some of these startup companies, right, if only 1 or 2 turn into a unicorn, right, that makes up for the other 8 that fail. And I think people think like, hey, I'm getting into a crypto project, everything is safe, it's 10 out of 10. It just doesn't work that way. And I still tell this to the day, right? 90% of crypto DeFi projects are going to fail in the first 6 to 12 months. I mean, if we look in the last 12 months, what's still standing? What you have, like Vapor, Alpha, Sphere is still here, but just like maybe 5 or 6 projects. Horde is kind of still here, but
ish, yeah.
Horde, yeah, ish. So people, I hope people can understand that and get value from that bit of information there.
Yeah. One last thing I want to just say as advice for people. So what that means is on projects, don't go all in one project. Don't risk. I mean, it's this cliches, but I think people forget them because they hear them so much. But don't invest more than you can afford to lose. When you go into a DeFi project, expect that money could be gone. Okay.
Yeah.
And if that messes your life up, that money being gone, then you should not do it. Okay. And then get your initial out as fast as you can. If it's going to fail within the next 3 or 4 months, we'll get your initial out. And then at least you won't end up worse than you started. And then even after that, take profits regularly. People get into this compounding trap where they think, oh, if I take $1,000, if I compound, it'll be 100,000. If I take profits, it'll only be 5,000. And it's take your 5,000. Don't compound to oblivion because it's rarely works out.
Yeah, and we talked about this last in 2021, right? The goal of that was, get your initial out as fast as possible, then compound if that's what you want to do, right? And then it's kind of like a free roll. So that's a great advice, James. Thank you so much. You talked a little bit about this, but here's a question: like, what's the most important thing you look for before you invest in a project? Is it the use case, utility, team, community, and I think you said the team, meeting the team and talking with them is the most important, but maybe you can add some extra value onto that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So first thing I do is I figure out, hey, am I looking at this as a long-term investment or a short-term passive income play? Yeah. So that's the first thing that I'm trying to think through, because I'll approach, the questions I ask a lot differently. If they're trying to build, a $1 billion business, then I might not be looking for revenue streams on day one, because it's like, okay, well, I know you're like Constellation is looking 10 years out or 5 years out. So I'm not necessarily looking for, okay, well, where's the money coming in right now? I'm content to just buy my coins, sit and wait for their vision to happen. If it's a short-term play, really one of the main things I'm looking for in the bear market is revenue streams. Like if you're paying me out, we'll say 1% a day, because that's like a common number.
Yeah.
then it's like, well, where's the 1% a day revenue coming from? And
Yeah.
if the answer is new investors, then I know that's not going to happen, because in the bear market, we do not have new investors.
Yes.
There's no new capital. Like, you watch the total market cap of crypto has been completely flat for the last 6 months at least.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things I'm looking for. Also, I'm not totally sure the best way to do this, but I'm having a lot of teams that just flat out lie to me now.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of work through that, and like, I don't know if I don't know how to deal with that. Honestly, that's something I have to learn. It's more of a, I guess, psychology lesson that I need to get, is how you tell if someone's just completely lying to you. But that's that's things that I'm looking for.
It's hard, man, you know, and you know, the hard part about life, right? There's more bad people in the world than I'd say good people, right? And it's really hard because you do have people that are constantly saying, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. Next thing you know, the website's gone, the contract's been, everything's been liquidated, and, they move on to another project, right? And there does need to be better accountability for these types of situations in crypto. But until we get global regulation of some sort, it's just going to be the wild, wild west. What are some of your favorite projects right now, man? We could talk blue chip or some passive income, because I know you have a lot of passive income plays. You just got back from Dubai looking at Project 79. What are some of the things that really interest you in crypto?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I can tell you what doesn't interest me first is projects that guarantee a return without the revenue to back up the return that they're giving. And it's just, we got in this habit in crypto of just like, hey, we're going to give a 1% return, like all the node projects like you were talking about. And it's just, they're falling apart right now, whether they end up just flat out rugging or the token price just goes down to zero. I'm not interested in those. So yeah, I'm looking for revenue streams. So Project 79 is definitely one. They're buying gold, and I got to see all the contracts, and I got to meet the suppliers and the buyers. But they're buying gold from mines in Africa, and they're selling them to refineries in Dubai. And there's a little bit of a spread there. It ends up being, maybe 10% spread when they do that. And they're trying to do one shipment a week, and then they give as a team, they take, 2% or so, and then whatever's left, they give to the investors. So it's kind of a crowdsourced business. And so I really like that. I really like businesses. So that's honestly, there's not a lot of short-term projects that I'm big on, except for that one. Like, I'm getting just burned left and right on different projects. So there's not a lot else. I have some trading bots that have been pretty successful. I've been running those. Long term, the more I look into Flux, I'm really excited about some of the stuff Flux is doing. Cadena, I'm excited. Yep. Their technology is just awesome. And I think they have some of it's wishful thinking too, because I have 3 Cadena miners and I spent a lot of money on those. Obviously Constellation, yep. Rob, we talk about them a lot. We went out to LA for the Constellation conference. And then on the Constellation network, like I think ADS, the Alchemy Exchange, is going to be big. Lattice Exchange is going to be big. BioFi, Genico is going to be big. Oh, I love Genico, by the way. BioFi is going to be big. So yeah, those would be the main ones. I know you love XRP, and I'm just kind of, I have XRP. I have 10, maybe 10K or so in XRP, and I'm just kind of watching, and who knows what's going to happen, but yeah, those would probably be the ones that I'm most excited about right now.
Are you holding XDC, James?
I'm not. I got tired of just holding tokens for you buy tokens and you hold them. You have 20K or 30K locked up for it ends up being years. Like you hold it for so long, and it's like, well, I feel like I could take that 30K and go put it into something that produces cash flow. And then maybe when some of these coins are closer to moving, although you don't know when that is part of the problem, but then you can, kind of maybe re-enter at those times. So I'm constantly battling. I don't like having capital tied up because I have all these cash flow deals that I'm looking into. And so I'm like, well, where can I get capital for that? So it's a constant battle for me.
Awesome, James. Awesome. When you're not in crypto, man, when you're not doing your AMAs and your research and you're talking with teams, what do you like to do in your personal time, man? Is it spending time with family? Is there a video game that James likes to
Yeah.
play? I mean, what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah. Well, so I've got three kids, 10, 8, and 5. So that keeps me pretty busy. Two of them have ear infections right now. So that's like, being a parent just keeps you busy. Then we've got two college students that live with us right now as well, one from Cameroon. And we've had a number of different college students live with us from Rwanda. And I just really enjoy, especially in college age when people are kind of trying to figure out their life a little bit. I just love being a voice of influence in these people's lives and kind of just help them out, just support them through this stage of life. Then my faith is really important. I spend a lot of time, I love the Bible. I love teaching the Bible. So like I said, I'm a part-time pastor. So I go around to nursing homes here and I preach the Bible to people at the nursing home. And so I really enjoy that. I used to love Call of Duty Warzone. Like I was obsessed with it. Yeah. Almost became, instead of crypto, I almost did like a Call of Duty Warzone
streamer
YouTube channel. Yeah.
Oh, snap.
But then at the last minute, I was like, nah, I'm going to do crypto. I think I'm more qualified.
And at the end of the day, I think you probably made a lot more money going this route than the last route.
I did. Well, and the problem was I was not that good at Call of Duty. So it was like I could be a streamer and like I have a good streamer personality, I think. But if you're just dying, your my KD is like 1.2. So it's like, okay, I can't probably stream with that.
I always thought it would be fun to one day a week, 3 or 4 of a crypto people get on and play Warzone or something and just talk crypto. I think people would be interested in listening and watching us die and stuff like that. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah. That reminds me. Sorry, I keep interrupting you, but this reminds me. Warfi is an interesting project. So they're kind of are a node project, where you buy an NFT and it produces 1% a day or whatever. But the revenue for this project is they have a first-person shooter it's running right now. You can play it now, and it costs $1 to spawn in, and then you get 75 cents for each kill. So you get in a game with 10 people, and if you're pretty decent, as long as you can get 2 kills, then you make 50 cents. But that's providing, they've already played, I think, 500 games so far, and that's providing, a quarter from each kill goes as revenue to Warfi. Yeah. So I like that. It's the first play to earn game that is actually a game that you can play. So I really am liking that. And then that's been really fun for me, just playing that game, and you're risking, a little bit, and you can also make a little bit of money. So it's kind of fun.
Are you out there murking people, James? Do we have to worry about you on that, on that battlefield?
Yeah, no, not really. I'm kind of like a 2-kill person. So I get on, if I get my 2 kills, I'm pretty happy. And then
you're camped in a corner, just like, pop, pop, pop.
Oh yeah, I live in the sniper towers, and then you just kind of hide, pop up, get a kill,
I like it, man. I like it. And then when everyone's trying to climb the ladder to shoot you, you shoot them down, right?
Yep, you got it, man. You know my strategy. You have to hop in there.
Oh, you're gonna be like, bro, this is my tower, James. Get the fuck out of here. I'm trying to kill people.
we can team up, maybe.
Hey, well, they might ban us for teaming. So let's talk. We've been going on half an hour. I just got a few more questions here for you, but what do you think about the current state of regulation here in the U.S.? We're both here. We're both watching around the world as the UK, Switzerland, Germany, Japan, all of these countries, South Africa, the Bahamas, all of these countries seem to be further ahead than we are, right? With CBDCs and with regulating crypto, right? We still have the SEC out here making just asses of themselves. I mean, so where do you think? Do you think we're going to get regulation here in America in 2023, or is it more 2024?
So I have a love-hate relationship with regulation. So coming from the venture capital world, I've just seen how regulation, at least in the United States, I don't know if it's this way all over the world, but I assume that it is. The regulation is designed specifically to make rich people rich and poor people poor.
Yeah.
And so like the laws around accredited investors, I've seen just how that's designed to, they say it's designed to protect the poor. But what it actually is designed to do is hurt the poor, not let them get into these deals that the rich have available to them. And actually, when this clicked for me was when I was at the Denver airport here in the US, and they had scratch ticket vending machines. And I was like, if you're really interested in protecting poor people, get rid of the scratch ticket, like scratch ticket vending machines. Scratch tickets are never a good investment. Okay. Yep. It's basically like getting rug pulled every single time you put in money.
Yep.
But they are like, no, we're going to allow those, but you can't go invest in medicinal marijuana or something, some of these good investment opportunities.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of against, I've not seen regulation. I've never seen the US government put their hands on something and it turn out better than it was before they put their hands on it.
Through that.
So honestly, for me, I would prefer they just keep their hands off of it. Yeah. And just let us figure it out and let us figure out how to self-regulate, however that looks. But yeah, like you said, I don't think that's going to happen. They want their taxes. They want their laws on it.
Well, so, yeah. Well, the biggest thing too, right, is, stable coins can get large enough to destabilize a country's currency, right? Like, if you're talking, because what's happening with these stable coins, right? Because everything has to be backed by a US dollar, right? So they're out there buying treasury bills and doing different things, right? T-bills. And, there's not a lot of liquidity out there. And so it's kind of could be a big issue as far as, depending on the country, how big stable coins can get in that country. So, and if we want institutional money to come in and play, because realistically, man, million here, million there, $5,000 here, $1,000 here, 100, whatever you have to invest, we're all the small fish, right? We're not the ones that are going to be moving this market into trillions. It's really the institutional, banks, central banks and things like that, right? 90% of central banks are working on CBDCs, right? They know they need this. It's coming. I just hope they don't over-regulate, right? I think it needs to be a space all around the world where innovation can grow and flourish. They need to come down on the scammers and hardliners, right? That's what they really should be focused on. But I guess, we should have a talk about regulation another day, and we'll continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. But one thing is, when regulation comes, it's not going to be looking out for the average investor. Oh, yeah. It's going to be regulation designed to protect the institutional investors.
Yep.
So I don't, whatever regulation comes out, it's not going to help you and me. It's going to help the institutions. So I'm kind of just, as much as we can keep the government out of it, I think the better. But and we don't have a lot of influence over it, so we kind of just have to wait and see, and
we have none.
Play what they give to us.
Did you see? So the SEC put out like a statement, it was like last week or a couple weeks ago, saying that they wanted to move the accredited investor threshold from $1 million to $10 million, right? So how the F are people going to ever generate wealth, right? They want to keep the middle class and the poor class middle and poor, right? That is the goal of some of these elites. And I do think it's pretty sad the way things are nowadays, right? Billionaires want to keep billionaires, and they want to keep everybody else, slaving away. But
yeah. Well, and can you imagine if they said to invest in crypto, you have to be an accredited investor? Yeah. Because I mean, that's if they get their way, that's probably what it's going to be. Yeah. And it's going to be terrible for the rest of it. I mean, fortunately with crypto, I don't know that there's a way to keep normal people out, because you can just,
it's worldwide,
ways around everything.
Yeah. NordVPN or whatever like that, or, some type of VPN company you can, buy from wherever you want. You work with a lot of projects, James, you come on in as an advisor, right? What's the most important thing you look to help change when you get into a project? I'm sure there's always, something different when you get in, right? Because different projects need different things, or they're lacking different things. But, for the most part, how can you help projects for the better, right? If there's projects out there listening right now, maybe to, you coming on as an advisor to help out, what are your strong suits to help that project?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the first thing, so it's just things I've learned just from seeing projects fail. But first is don't promise high APRs if you don't have revenue to support it. So like I had some of these auto rebase tokens. They were like, hey, do you want to be an advisor? And I pretty much, if someone asked me to be an advisor, I pretty much say yes. Like, I'm just like,
you're too
oh,
kind.
yeah, I'll help you out. I know I am. You've told me this for a long time, and it has burned me many times.
I try to keep your feet out of the, because you know what, James, I've been through it all, right? Oh, yeah. I've been through a lot, you know, and I've been beat up and I've been spit on and yelled at and blocked and all this stuff. And so I do my best to try to say, hey, James, this is the way I went and it was all bad. So maybe try to go this way. But hey, everyone learns, everyone wants to do their things. And you are honestly one of the, I mean, as far as honor and kind and you want to just give your time, you are probably the best person to do that. So you know, it's nothing against you.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate the advice, and it helps me. What it does, your advice, it helps me after I ignore it and it fails. It helps me to look back and be like, see the truth, you know, that I missed, and now I understand. And but the first thing I tell is hey, get rid of, if you have 160K% APY, lower it. Like, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. It's just, you can never get revenue that's going to support that. So there's nothing that can happen for your token except for the price to go down. Like, it's pretty common sense, but you'd be amazed at the number of projects that do that. The other thing I tell people, is let's get revenue streams. If I ask people, hey, so where's the money going to be out to pay these investors? Oh, well, new investors will come in. That's what you're here for, James, is to market. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, find a revenue stream, find a problem that you're solving that people will pay for. Then I'm open to that. I want to get rid of these hyped up launches. I don't know why people think that these launches where we get everybody together, you know, 1,000 people ready to buy and a timer for this countdown. Yep. And I've just seen 90% of them bots take over, an exploit happens. It doesn't work out for one reason or another, or you get all your buy pressure on day one and then there's nothing on day two because you got this huge launch. I'd rather, you know, things kind of come in slowly and you figure it out. So those are really the three things that I try to: lower your APY, get some revenue streams. Don't worry about a huge launch. Don't worry about a ton of hype right off the gate. But that's what I've learned just from seeing other projects fail in the space.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, there's things projects can do to prevent bots and different things, but some of the best launches have been stealth launches, you know, period, right? I mean, sometimes someone on the team screws up and tells 15 other people and whatever else happens, but those usually go the best, you know, and it's fair for everybody too. Let's finish it off, James. Is there anything, you know, you wanted to kind of talk about or kind of say, anything else you would like people to know about you kind of before we end here today?
Yeah, well, I don't want to get too preachy, but that is my second job, you know, so I do want to get a little bit, but I just want people to be thinking about eternal things. Like, don't get too caught up in the things here on earth. Like, people get caught, you know, when Lambo is a common question, but like, one thing I've learned is I made a lot of money in my first business and I was able to buy anything. Like, buy my dream car, build my dream house. And what I realized through that, which is exactly what the Bible says, and it's kind of like with you, there was advice, but it's like I had to make the mistakes myself before I bought into it. Yeah. But there's, you know, Ecclesiastes in the Bible calls running after wealth like chasing the wind. And I experienced that. It was like, okay, I'm going to buy this, this, and this. And then it's like, oh no, that doesn't make you, it doesn't fulfill you any more than when I didn't have those things. And I kind of panicked because I was like, oh man, this is what I was after, was building a dream house and buying a dream car. And so I just want people to really think about eternal things, like what's going to happen after you die. You know, you're going to be dead a lot longer than you're alive. And so just really getting people to think about that and not getting caught up in the finances here. I've talked with people. We just had a project shut down. Yield Nodes, you know, is shut down. Mm-hmm. And somebody was messaging me saying they're talking about taking their life because of this. And I'm like, man, it's money. Like, you could have $0. We're in America. You could start over from zero and still do probably really well eventually. Like, life is more than just making money and your investments and things like that. So that's like the number one lesson that I'd like to kind of leave with people is think about things deeper than money. It's fine to go after money. And my channel is mostly about money, but just there's a lot more important things in life, and just make sure you keep money in its proper place where in your life.
Well said, James. Well said. I probably ended up there. Let's end it there, man. I think that's fantastic, James. I really appreciate your time, man. I hope this helps people get a real good understanding of who you are as a person and your background and where you came from. And let me just say, guys, like I've met thousands of people in crypto, and there's very few people I keep close to me, and James is one of those people. So this is probably the most honorable person that you can talk to in crypto. And so, if you need help from either me or him, reach out. He's a fantastic source. And James, I just really appreciate it, man. Thank you for sharing all of this with us. I wish you a blessed day. And I'll probably talk to you in about 10 or 15 minutes from here on.
Yeah. Nope. Sounds good, man. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate you and appreciate just your desire to help people in the space do better. So keep it up. And yeah, I echo that. If anybody needs help, reach out to Rob, reach out to me. Happy to help however we can. So thank you so much.
Thank you, James. Appreciate it, brother.